I tell you why I've called this emergency meeting.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because of
Urgency.
Steam Machine, man. I'm torn.
Mhm.
I guess mainly because of the price. I think it was more about the price to performance, because I
Right.
kept seeing all these different videos saying different things. It came across a little bit lackluster for the money.
Yeah.
I was very interested in it because I wanted to try it with VR.
Mhm.
I saw your post and I saw the video anyway from
Yeah.
Adam Savage and Tested about he actually was the only person to even bother trying anything VR
Yeah.
with it anyway, which, as you said, I'm very grateful for. So today, yeah, I just wanted to discuss like your thoughts
Mhm.
on the whole thing, really. I mean, are you now thinking of getting one? Are you not? Would you use it for VR? Things like that.
Mhm. Um, I think last time we talked about it, we were, like, both on the fence, like, we weren't sure. Like, we didn't seem excited to buy it. Like, we kinda knew something was coming that and it was probably gonna be more than, what people were expecting. And now knowing the price and everything, it's about what I expected, unfortunately. Will I buy one? I'm
That's
still
the
not
problem, man,
sure.
because the tech nerd in me, right, is like, because a lot of people like do just wirelessly stream your PC downstairs or get a long HDMI cable, things like that. But there's just something about having that in your front room. That's where it would be for me anyway. It's the only reason
Yeah.
I buy it is to have it in the front room and play my Steam games. But yeah,
So I'm in a weird position because I don't have a TV. So buying this thing, I would not be using it for, I mean, whenever I buy something, I never use it like the normal human being, but it kind of goes the same for this, especially. It's a small, I want to talk about this because it's a small form factor PC more than anything,
yeah,
except it doesn't follow some of the guidelines of being a small form factor PC because the CPU and the GPU are not replaceable, like at all. They're completely soldered to the motherboard. So even if that wasn't the okay, it's a trade-off because they wouldn't have been able to get such a small form factor if they did do, like, a dedicated, GPU at least. They're kinda putting the CPU and GPU just directly on the motherboard and putting a huge heat sink in it, and that's just the only way you can get that small for the most part. If they did a
yeah.
dedicated GPU, which is I mean, historically, there's a lot of interesting history behind the Steam Machine because everyone knows the original, like around 2014 to 2016, they partnered with a bunch of companies to do SteamOS 1.0 back then, and it failed for ironically the reasons that we're kind of talking about today. They partnered with like
So
Alienware and all these other companies, and those companies need to make a profit on the hardware. So, and they were going to get obviously any of the money from Steam sales once they sold this Steam machine partnered with Valve. So all of them came out really expensive, and they weren't really that different comparably to other stuff on the market that were more mass market, was able to play the entire Windows library of games and everything and do all the normal stuff people do. So that was a big failure back then. Another one that people don't know about because it was like literally canceled at the last minute, they were going to release a Steam machine alongside the Index. And it wasn't super powerful either. Actually, it had like basically an RX 480 as the GPU, and like the first generation Zen CPUs back then. Very like bare bones. Like the lowest. Actually, it was funny because the specs in the Steam machine that they were going to launch with the Index were actually lower than the minimum qualifications that they advertised for Half-Life Alyx. If you go on the Steam
right.
page, so and that was also a dedicated GPU, but it was a very cheap one and everything, and they canceled it at the last minute, and, yeah. And now here we are today. We're kinda back at square one. They are releasing something, there is a huge supply chain crisis. A lot of people were expecting Valve to go hand to hand against, like, Nintendo and Sony and Xbox, who's kinda always just going against themselves these days anyway. But it's not that. It is more so a boutique PC for techies, I think. I don't really see much value in the price per performance. It's like you, how you just said you're like, "Oh, the tech nerd in you wants to buy it just 'cause." And I think that's kind of the market they actually went for with this because anyone who's buying a small form factor, whether you're building one even, if you're building or buying a small form factor PC for gaming and like those high intense sort of compute environments, you're actually going to be paying a lot more than just buying like the big chunky PC or even building the big chunky PC. And Valve kind of knew that and they just went for it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just going through all the different like performance things, like the fact they had to run Doom the Dark Ages on the mobile version. I
Yeah.
was like oh man, and while I watched that, it kind of started making me think, well, VR is probably, I mean, we already spoke about how modding on this thing's probably an impossibility.
Mhm.
Like UEVR would just be not a good experience. But yeah, so like, talk to me about VR, like, because obviously, he sounds like you've watched a little bit more of Adam Savage than me. He said he had Half-Life Alyx running on it.
Yeah, it sounded like that he actually was able to test it streaming. And it sounds like the experience right now is you can somewhat stream VR with it and it will work, quote unquote. But it sounds like actually the performance for running the VR games is actually okay right now, but the streaming part of it still needs to be tweaked more.
Right.
Anyone who, at least in my history, I use an Nvidia GPU, and
Same.
there's a few reasons for that, but one of the reasons was back in the day, I was an AMD GPU user, but I started doing a lot like encoding and like, well, obviously if you're making videos and encoding videos, you need a good encoder in your GPU. And AMD has always been quite behind Nvidia in that regard. So when they're releasing this mid to low end GPU that's running on Nvidia, they're probably going to suffer a lot of the problems, and they have to kind of build the whole kind of stack Valve themselves to kind of support the streaming. But they did say that they are focusing first on streaming PCVR to Steam Frame, and now that will also come to Quest support as well because Steam Link is kind of this across the board thing that they work on. Now the thing is, apparently today you cannot do tethered PCVR at all. So if you have an
Yeah.
index, you have a vibe. It just doesn't work right now. They have to build out the drivers, and they even kind of admitted in that interview with Norm from Tested that it's probably gonna be a farther out thing for them to even get that working than the streaming stuff. So they're focusing on the streaming. I actually do think, like, I know it's not going to run UEVR, but I do think it'll probably run like Half-Life Alyx at like pretty okay quality, pretty easily. But yeah, other than that, it's just not a beefy machine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Then this conversation's put me even more on the fence because I'm like, if it can run VR games, well, would I use it? That's the thing. I wouldn't even want to be tethered to it anyway.
Yeah.
Truthfully, if
I
I had a
don't
Steam
yeah,
frame,
yeah.
I don't intend to ever be tethered to VR if I can again, if that's possible.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, it's more of an excuse for Valve to, okay, let me put it this way. The way I think of it is it was an excuse for Valve to push SteamOS development forward because SteamOS, up until this point, has been successful, but it's been catered to handheld PCs like super, super much. Like for literally like 2 years after they released the new version of SteamOS, if you even did stuff like plugging, like trying to rip the operating system from Steam Deck and applying it to non-handheld devices, it just basically wouldn't work. Like TVs just would go crazy if you plug something in like that with that software. So internally, they're probably like, okay, we want to expand. Obviously, like our moneymaker as Valve is Steam. Maybe Steam OS will get people to use Steam more eventually. All this stuff. So we need to have
Mm.
some sort of target hardware where we can expand from handhelds to PCs, like home
Well,
PCs, and
console in
also
a way.
in console, true. I think the console thing is always weird because, like, consoles these days are basically just PCs that are locked down to one piece of software. And that's kind of it. So it's very similar these days. It used to be very different architecturally, but now it's the same. And also, when I talk about like them building out SteamOS, they're also doing the same thing, by the way, for Steam Frame. Except instead of focusing on x86, like all the standard AMD NVIDIA stuff, they're building out SteamOS targets for the ARM because the future is like we're probably going to start seeing more ARM computers like what you have with the Macintosh, MacBooks, the Mac Minis, Mac Studios. You have Qualcomm building a lot of chips for Windows. There was a big announcement a couple of weeks ago where Nvidia is also building their own full SoCs for Windows PCs to run full ARM. So Valve also is like having a VR target, but that work will also kind of slowly over time benefit for their SteamOS to target multitude of devices that you could install maybe one day on this Windows PC that's already building for the ARM chips that are releasing for it. So Valve's a weird company because they don't freaking care if you buy the Steam machine. They're going to release it, but they're probably not going to care too much if it sells millions of units. And that's how they're acting, and that's how it is. Yeah.
I'm still stuck, man. Like, it's obviously I don't want to spend that much money on something that I'll probably set up, chuck some games at it like Cyberpunk and stuff, and just start notching down loads of settings, and then watching it upscale and it not looking great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, 1080p is what there is some conversations about my post, and some people are right. Like a lot of things are basically 1080p or 1440p and then upscaled. But
But
yeah, looking
it's
at
kind of messed up because they did kind of, when they first announced,
the
really,
4K
Valve announcing
60
all this,
FPS.
and yeah, really, them announcing all this 7 months ago. I think that was their biggest problem, frankly. I think that did a lot of damage to not only people's expectations, but just it was a really bad idea. Like, I don't think they should have did that. I think people would have
Yeah.
been, because people probably, again, it's the 7 months that they did this, and they didn't really talk much about it either, which is typical of Valve. So people probably were for 7 months festering, expecting the savior during a time where the supply chain crisis. Everyone sees their gaming devices or PC components going up, and they're just praying that Gabe Newell is going to come down from the heavens and save them with this ultra subsidized PC to solve these crises that Valve themselves are affected by. But if that happened, by the way, I do want to talk about that because there's a lot of people talking online like, oh, they should have subsidized it, they should have did this, they should have did that. And I understand them coming from that, but because that it is a PC and they're not limiting exactly what you build on it or what software you will put on it, I'm sure some people are gonna obviously day one, when people get it, they're gonna put Windows on it and
Yeah,
see
so
how it
if it
can
was
do.
locked down to SteamOS, which would actually kill the point of it, then they might subsidize it.
Exactly. Whereas
Yeah.
if they subsidized it with the current state it's in, and it actually was not taking profit or whatever, y- I don't know. I don't know if people are just, maybe people have been out of the market for a while for PCs and PC components. But I know, like, I bought a right before this crazy time. I bought an 8 terabyte SSD because I store so much raw video that I always need to buy these SSDs, and I'm crying. But I bought it for like $400, and it was a high-end SSD. And I even thinking back then, man, should I wait for this to go down in price? This is pretty expensive. I checked today on Amazon how much that costs. It's $1,200, the same stick of 8 gigabytes of storage, and everything is freaking like that. So yes,
It's so
there are better
complicated, isn't it?
values.
Because yeah, I mean, they wanted to release it. They wanted to release it. People are saying you can build one that's like better performance, but will it have that form factor? Which is probably one of
No.
the things I like about it most, actually, the custom size of it, and the work they put into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think if you are kind of making that decision, then the Steam machine was not going to be for you, even if the supply chain crisis was going to happen, because they've been pretty forward about what they were planning to release the price at before all of this, and it was probably going to be around $750, which back at that time, I mean, that would have been more expensive than a console at the like same time period. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
and
never
still there would have been
meant.
comparisons between it and PS5.
Yeah,
There's no
exactly.
doubt that was gonna happen. And that's the thing, you can't argue with it, can you? Like the place I've got one here. The PlayStation 5, $500 or £500 is incredible value, but you're locked to
Mhm.
PlayStation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
That's
most people are gonna be fine
what
with
we're
that,
talking about
honestly.
with the console side of it.
Yeah, and I think most people will be fine with that.
Okay. So you're
Yeah,
are you gonna buy one?
this is how I put
Because
it.
you haven't said no.
I did put, like, the check marks, the lottery. If it chooses me for first wave, I'll buy one. If not, I won't. So, we're rolling the dice here with my,
Do you think they're gonna do that lottery thing with Steam Frame?
oh god, I hope they don't.
I really hope they don't. That'd be awful.
I hate this lottery thing.
I hate the
I
lottery thing.
yeah, I
I, li-
think they could do it though. I could see them doing this
I like
again.
the idea that they've given everyone enough run up, like,
Yeah.
to make the decision. They've announced it. It's now available for you to be part of their lottery. And then, I mean, the thing is, if they've got enough Steam frames for the people who check the box, then it's all good because then everyone gets a winning ticket. But, and that depends on the price, because the thing is, I know the hardcore VR enthusiasts, this is different to Steam Machine. Like, they're going to buy frame regardless.
Yeah.
Um, unless it's something ridiculous the price. But even at $1,200, I still see a lot of people pulling the trigger, which is
Yeah, I
not.
do too.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want it to be that price, and some people will be like, "Don't put ideas in their head." I'm sure, it's just, but I can just see that. I can just see that. So
I
yeah,
was told, so even though we kinda got from Valve themselves saying what the price was gonna be for Steam Machine, that was actually right in the range of what I was told a couple months, or I guess it was a few months ago this time.
same,
What Yeah,
same.
and I also got
One two
told a
nine nine.
price.
Actually, I was told.
Yeah, well, I'm actually talking about, the Steam Machine price before all of this is what, like, I was told it was gonna be
Right.
this, but now they're gonna have to raise it to this sort of thing. And they also told me, the original planned price for the Steam frame, and it was higher than the Steam Machine back then. Now, it's very different because the Steam Machine, requires multiple types of RAM, and RAM is, like, part of the hugest problem for it, but storage is also included in that too, so yeah, it's either we just don't expect Valve to bite the bullet on hardware is just the way I think it is, and yeah, we'll see.
So okay, so what's your price prediction for Steam Frame now after Steam Machine?
Base price, I can easily see at $1,000, at this point, and that's optimistic, actually. That's me assuming that
Yeah.
they're gonna just literally like 100% sell it basically at cost, with what they're trying to do. But I yeah, I think that's the optimistic guess.
Yeah. So what would you say? Because there's some people who were very interested in Steam Machine and Steam Frame for VR. So like there's some people who are coming purely from Quest. They don't own a PC.
Mhm.
Would you say that is a good like combination? I mean, it's really hard because I kind of think to myself, right, so we're in the realms of hypothetically $2,500 all in console, controller, Steam Frame. You probably could get a Quest 3 and get a semi decent PC
Yeah.
for around that money.
Um,
I say semi decent
no, yeah, you probably
loosely.
can. I think like the best video of all of them I saw about the Steam Machine was probably by Gamers Nexus. I think he had like the most, like, not only did he have the best data, but he also just had like the best balanced take, I think, on the whole thing. And only get a Steam Machine if no, I actually don't think if you're just a Quest person and you never had a PC before, I don't think you get a Steam Machine, honestly.
Mm,
Because it's
yeah.
going to come with a lot of, so that video I posted about them saying like SteamVR has been Linux compatible for years. That's true, but it has always been like kind of the little brother experience compared to running VR on Windows, honestly, even today. Like I know they've been quickly trying to improve it, in preparation for Steam Machine, but frankly, you shouldn't buy a Steam Machine right now for VR, and you shouldn't buy a Steam Machine based on promises from Valve that it might be as comparable to PCVR on Windows in the future someday. So I don't think you
Yeah.
do that for sure.
Right. Well, that kind of does answer my question. I think that probably not going to buy it.
And I, you know what? The crazy thing is, I know there's gonna be some people who are big fans of Linux, and they'll be like, "Well, Brad, they don't have to use SteamVR on Linux. They can install all this, other stuff that will make it work." And if you're one of those people, I understand that. But at the same time, a lot of these people who are interested in Steam Machine want a console-like experience. They don't want to deal with all this extra bullcrap, most likely for a higher price at the same time. Than,
Yeah, to me,
com-
that's the appeal of it. That is the appeal
yeah,
of. Yeah, I actually do want it for a console-like experience for my Steam
yeah.
games.
Yeah. So, I just yeah, that's the way I feel about it. It's interesting. I just think I think the other big announcement was them expanding SteamOS to they were confident enough to say that basically any PC that has AMD GPU in it can now run SteamOS, install it, whether it's alongside as a dual boot with Windows or just You want to build your own Steam machine? They're now confident if you have an AMD GPU, you can do that. Now, again, we were
Mm.
just talking about we have Nvidia GPUs, so we can't do that yet, but that's
No.
also coming. There's a lot of work, which, Nvidia on Linux is a nightmare, but there has been so much work going on there. And I think the day that does happen and they announce it, my main PC will just become, well, my PC is actually a small form factor PC with a huge Nvidia GPU in it, but it will become a Steam machine in of itself. So that console like experience will come to people who buy a better, more affordable PC if they want it someday. So,
Yeah. So, I think Steam Frame is going to now be a month away unless something happens. I
yeah, I
just
think
can't. I
so.
can't see it happening at the moment.
I was
Yeah.
pretty confident that it wasn't going to be a dual launch because like I remember a month ago I was posting strings and like all the data mining stuff that Steam Machine was setting up their welcome tour, like their tutorial of how to go through the UI. And that was a month ago, and now we're getting Steam Machine this week. Steam Frame was just getting those strings like a week ago. So I was like, oh, probably we're a month away based on that or more, depending on other things. So I think a month at the
Mm.
least is likely.
So I think the bottom line is probably not to buy a Steam machine for VR. Um.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Which most people, I don't see many. I don't. Maybe you have, but I haven't seen too many people that were wanting to buy Steam Machine for VR
I'm not saying I've
usage.
seen too many people like say it, but there's people
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
it.
right,
And they've obviously put some money aside, but then they've seen the performance
right,
stuff. And depending on where you look, like you're saying, like Gaming Nexus might be different. I don't know, but I watched Linus's first, and that was enough for me. I was like, bloody hell, this isn't
right.
this isn't great.
I like I like Gamertag because he does really good comparisons of like comparable hardware and the prices of each of these hardware, and you get a really good idea of what's going on from like the high
Mm,
technicals. Rather than I think Linus is like experiential. Like he tries it, he gets the experience, and he talks about it. I like the data driven stuff. So they're both
yeah,
have their
I
own.
want to watch Gaming Nexus. I just think he talks so fast, man. Sometimes
He
I'm like,
talks. Yeah,
I haven't watched him for a while, you know. I mean, they're probably their channel's been going well over a decade. But
yeah,
I started watching him again, and I was like, Christ, this guy's hard to keep up with.
yeah.
Um,
His videos are super long too. Like, so
yeah, 50 odd
it's a
minutes.
you have to be dedicated to watch one of those videos. But yeah,
Yeah, but as you said, if you're looking for really in-depth stuff and comparisons on pricings of components, I'm assuming now there's probably going to be people making their own Steam machines, trying to get similar performance for less. But I just
yeah.
don't think they're going to be able to conquer the form factor. You know?
No, it literally will not be able to. No,
Yeah,
I know that for because
interesting.
again, I built my own small form factors. Small form factor stuff is expensive, first of all. Like if you're building your own, like they always add a premium. A lot of that has to do with the fact that when you buy a big PC, all the parts, like the motherboard, a lot of ITX guys who are the small motherboard guys, they're trying to fit all the same functionality, but in a smaller PCB. So they actually do a lot of stacking PCBs, which miniaturizing technologies always adds costs. But it's also
Mm,
much more low volume too. So small form factor. Anyone who's done DIY for small form factor, they'll be like, I hope you're ready to spend a lot of money because it's going to be more than buying the giant Walmart ATX cases and stuff. So yeah.
damn, dude. Okay, well, that kind of answers that. You want to talk about stuff from AWE?
Yeah, I thought there was. Well, let me put this: is there anything that like piqued your mind that you would like to talk about AWE first? Because I have a few things.
I haven't seen anything from AWE apart. Oh, do you mean like the AR stuff, like the
Yeah, there's a
glasses
lot of
and
there.
things?
Yeah, yeah. There was the Snap glasses. There was the XReal Aura. There was the new
Yeah. So
Qualcomm chip.
I don't know how this happened, but this guy he deals with a lot of social media influencers, and he picked me up. Maybe because I'm British. And this was like a year ago or so, and he was like, "Do you want to come to Snap HQ and make a video on the Snap glasses?" Um,
Hmm.
and I was a bit and ahhing, you know. And then my wife said, "Oh, we can tie it in with your birthday." I actually went on my birthday, and
Oh wow.
so I went in there, and obviously form factor aside, because genuinely there was no way anyone would wear them. I was really impressed. Like, you know, the video did okay, like 17K or something is all right, but
Hmm.
for me personally, I was amazed. You know, like
Right.
this things I can remember was playing games on it was fantastic. This guy who was having like a co-op experience. He had a little cursor above his head, like we was both in this video game. We was drawing spatially, sharing items together in the real world, and it kind of proved to me that wow, like this is actually it's almost like if you let your imagination run wild, you're like,
Yeah,
dude, this is the future. Like it feels like the
right.
future. Um, so seeing the new ones, I was really disappointed. The new spectacles. It's like Generation 5. Is it the fifth
Yeah,
generation?
yeah,
Yeah, I was disappointed with the form factor, without a doubt. I mean, I don't care how that guy thought he looked. I thought he looked stupid. Um,
yeah.
and then we got the Neos. Who's that? Is that XReal?
The XReal
Uh,
Aura.
Extra Aura. They look really cool. Again,
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd still want to walk around with them in real life. Either way, I definitely think again AR's like really going to take off
yeah.
eventually.
One day. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my feelings, yeah, I think you had a really great kind of cover up how a lot of ways I feel. I'm a bit of a the only thing where I come from is I haven't tried the new ones that were just announced. I don't think anyone has tried it, which is actually very weird. But I
What
know
the
they had like maybe
spectacles? The Snap spectacles.
the new specs, yeah, they're
The new
called
specs.
specs now, the new ones. They were
Yeah,
called
yeah,
spectacles. But yeah, that was
yeah,
the one thing that was kind of weird was I know they had like some journalists, like a few journalists that got to try them out. But for the most part, they announced them and they're gonna release them in the fall, they say. They're the pretty much the biggest sponsor of AWE. And like they're doing a
mm,
huge showing at AWE. You would think you would have more people demoing the product that you're releasing in a couple of months. Whenever companies
yeah.
do stuff like that, I get very suspicious. Like, okay, yeah, they showed us the product, they gave us some of the specifications, but what are they not wanting to tell or show us right away? So, my
But
my
yeah, just
feelings
to let
are.
them.
Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like for me, it's always about the feedback from the general consumer is probably what they're fearing. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
they're probably
exactly,
scared of
and
that. That real raw. I'm just someone off the street. No, I won't wear them. Two, I found it not a very good experience. Like things they just don't want to hear. You know, because
right,
everyone who says they're good, they're always like massively into tech and somehow already
yeah,
invested in
yeah.
that side of it.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I think AR is one of those. I think it's like a VR thing too, where it's like, yeah, it's bulky, but once you have people demoing it, they usually come out blown away in some way or another. And you would think you would want
Yeah,
that to combat the reactions to only showing the form factor. Like you would want a little bit of
yeah.
that going on. But I don't know. I guess maybe it's not ready software wise or something. But my feeling on AR is yeah, it's going to absolutely be big, and I actually kind of almost feel that VR will become big as a subponent of AR because I think the best AR devices will also be able to do VR. Now,
Mm,
that's very different than how most people feel about it because there's a lot of sacrifices to make to do AR, especially because a lot of companies focus on AR via waveguides, and that's what Snap is. They are a waveguide based optic system. They put the displays usually on the side and they bounce that light so many times so they can have that transparency in the front here. Um, I I still am not really confident that they're going to solve a lot of the problems with waveguide AR, including form factor and meeting that functionality with the form factor that you expect for maybe 20 years. I really don't feel that way. So I
wow.
feel like yeah, and it's not just because I'm a VR guy, it's just because I think like a lot of the reasons why we have so much trouble making even just VR devices like super small and super amazing. They're somewhat related. Like we have come a long way on what VR was even 10 years ago to what these devices are now. The difficulty is exemplified more for AR glasses because you usually have to fight multitudes of different like even just going outside with AR glasses, you completely ruin most of the display quality, like completely, like 99% because outside is so bright and we need super bright displays and these waveguides to beat the sunlight to show up, or you can dim your glasses. But if you dim your glasses too much, then you can't walk
Then
around
you
with the
can't see the
glasses.
real world anyway. Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a conundrum.
So there's a lot of problems, and you have a lot of little like UX things. Like one of the biggest things about these new Snap glasses I was actually most disappointed about, and this might seem like a very stupid thing, but I kind of think that you need, if you're doing immersive AR glasses, which is what these are not HUD glasses. These are full on. Try to do the Vision Pro stuff, but in a transparent glasses with 50 FOV. You need eye tracking. Otherwise, you're just going to be like moving your hands awkwardly all the time
Oh,
just to
it's
click stuff.
constant. Yeah, it has no idea of input apart from exactly what you're doing all the time. So yeah, you would constantly be doing this stuff, and that's the other thing. Like that was I had like an hour demo. Like
Yeah.
the glasses, you're meant to live with them. You know
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah. Yeah.
idea of these things is. And do you really want to walk around not being able to see properly because you've had to make the environment too dark? Keep like pressing things. I just don't know. And why didn't
Yeah.
Meta make a showing, for example? I thought Meta. I mean, wouldn't they wanna be there?
For AR glasses in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? I am glad you,
Well,
I'm so happy you said that, GT. You
well,
don't like,
I didn't know whether you'd be
no,
like, "Well, they were there." I mean,
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
no, no, no. That question is so important because if Snap is so ahead and like showing off these big dorky glasses, why aren't companies that have way more money, way more engineering, why aren't they coming out with the same thing? Because they know the technology is still far away. They're not doing it. Even Meta, like Meta showing off the the Orion thing, the thing that was like maybe
Yeah, yeah.
$10,000 per unit or whatever. And even though that's $10,000, maybe some people will buy it. It's not 10,000 per unit if they mass produce them. That's just $10,000 per unit, and they actually don't have the capability to mass produce them. If a lot of people wanted to buy them at that price, because the components were just so insane.
Right.
And even those are like you have to have a really special relationship with them just to demo something like that. Because AR is so on this like thin line of like you just have one bad comment about the experience and it spreads, like that will kill the AR guys like for years to come. Just like kind of Magic Leap
Mm.
actually kind of did for a while when they really like the hype for Magic Leap 1 and like the reactions and like the come to real life that hurt the AR guys a lot. But that's just reality. The difficulty of doing VR in a realistic way is super hard. Doing the reality of waveguide AR, immersive AR, is even astronomically harder. But
Wow.
yeah, and when I brought up the eye tracking, like you want it to be like you said, wear it all day. That requires very good battery life. You don't want to have big batteries though in the glasses. That would solve a lot of like cause a lot of issues. Meta's smart with their band for their display glasses because I actually think when Meta does incorporate eye tracking even into their HUD glasses, that band will actually work way better alongside eye tracking because they don't have to put cameras looking down where people naturally like use their hands. They'll just have that little
Yeah.
watch or wristband that they can just do the simple
The
click and it'll
neuroband,
just,
isn't it? Neuroband? Is that what it's
yeah,
called?
the neural
Neuroband?
band. That solves a huge problem because you just can't put cameras facing down looking at your hands for input either. So you always have to stretch them out in front of you. A lot of
Yeah.
things that you just can't do in glasses just at some point. So I don't know. It's amazing that someone is doing this. However, I don't know how Snap is going to continue investing so much money to get to the next generation because they are not a healthy company, I would say, anymore. If you've seen their stock, they're like basically a penny
I
stock
saw
now.
it.
Yeah, like they're under $4 a share most of the time, and it's
Really?
very expensive. Yeah, they're very small now.
I
And
mean,
they bet
and that's
their
the other thing
entire,
as well. There was another question. There was a lady interviewing her. I don't know where she was from, a news lady. In this country, in Australia and some other European countries, are now banning social media for under 16-year-olds. And
yeah,
like
yeah.
Snap is a primary DM service. Like I know that from my own daughter. Like all the kids use Snap. If you take that
Yeah,
away, that's a, and the guy kind of like glazed over it and was like, yeah, we support child safety, but you can't ignore
yeah,
that suddenly you might lose millions of users of
yeah.
your app. Just
Absolutely. Like you said, it's only the young people who use Snapchat. And even I even think now Snapchat is just not the thing as it once was. So
maybe
betting
not.
their entire company on this $2,200 pair of
I
glasses that
know.
I don't know. Like it's ironic because the first, I don't know if you remember the first and second generation Spectacle. They were actually very simple. They were just glasses that had cameras in them. and would just take pictures and apply filters with the Snapchat app, which is really funny because now that's what the Meta Ray-Bans and all the new Meta glasses coming out basically do with AI added into the equation. And those are selling millions of units and they're much
Yeah.
more ready for mass consumer. Um, I don't know. Like I'm not
Dude,
a professional. Like,
and the Ray-Bans, like the Ray-Bans just do enough to make people interested, to make it feel like they've got
yeah,
some sort of future tech, and it's not a
yeah,
massive investment. They're like
yeah.
£300 over here, you know, and
They just announced new ones today. Did you see that?
yeah, well, I didn't know if they were new or just a new design.
So it's actually interesting because before Meta released obviously the many generations of Ray Bans, then they expanded with Oakleys as well. Today they're doing something very different where they're not actually doing a Ray-Ban branding or a Oakley branding. They partnered directly with the owner of those brands, Essilor Luxottica, but they're doing Meta branded glasses now. And they're actually
Oh,
cheaper, probably because they're not paying for that branding price tag. They're like $300 US dollars. So those are all the first time that Meta's sold. Okay, not the first time because they have the display glasses, but first time they showed non-display smart glasses that it's going to be under their own branding. And a lot of this is probably preempting because they even talked about this in interviews. They're worried about Apple because Apple's working on smart glasses as well, and they think they have to preempt that competition by
I
being
mean
more aggressive with
that would
pricing.
be some heavy competition because, as we know,
Yeah,
people are absolute Apple nuts. Um,
yeah,
and if they release an affordable tech product like Meta Ray Bans, then that would be Meta would not be
yeah.
very happy. I don't think.
Yeah, and the biggest problem I think with the Meta for this is I don't even know if the prices. I mean, they're going to use price because it's the only way they can compete, probably. But Apple's going to do the thing where they just integrate products with their like iPhones and stuff to the way that Meta can't really tap into that. So like that kind of just whatever. I
Uh,
think Meta's doing fine. I think they're
by
obviously
the
very
by the
invested in
these
smart
glasses
glasses.
have been designed by Kyle Jenner.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that.
Or
Yeah,
Kylie Jenner, sorry, Kylie Jenner. So there is some. I don't know. I kind of if there's men ones there. I can see women's ones. Women. Actually, this whole advertisement I've got is primarily directed at women.
So I think they released three new
They
styles
have,
today under this
yeah,
branding, and one of
Adventurer,
them, yeah,
Fury, and Starfire, which is the Kylie edition. And the Kylie
yeah,
edition are basically $90 more. And
yeah,
crazily enough, this is one of the things that actually helped Quest sell is monthly payments. So they've gone for monthly
mm,
payment system as well. So I can get a brand new pair of Meta glasses, Fury, which actually look pretty okay, actually. A bit square for me, but they're not too bad. It would cost me £20 a month for a
right,
year. Like people, that's the sort of, I mean, that's like two coffees a month, you know,
yeah,
maybe for some people or something. Yeah.
yeah. I think, I mean, we talked about like I don't, they're not really smart glasses are not really something I use, but I think Meta's doing very well. It makes sense for their everything that they want to do. And they keep expand. They honestly keep making the right moves with that whole side of things. Like it's kind of like the
Yeah.
almost complete inverse with how they've handled the VR stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I personally love my glasses, man. I use them quite a lot. And interestingly, they're out of like VR. The reason I started doing VR on YouTube is because no one was talking about it and I had no one to talk
yeah,
to about it.
yeah,
And the glasses, Meta glasses are the only thing that like multiple people have asked me
yeah,
about. You know, they're like, oh, have you got a pair of those
mm,
glasses? And I'm like, yeah, do you want to try them? And they try them, they listen to music, they take photos, I show them the AI stuff, and they go and buy them. You know, pretty straightforward actually. But mostly, I think because they're tied to Ray Ban, I think that is a real big like pusher for some people. They're like, oh, these are Ray Bans. Like that's a. So I don't know how Meta's own stuff's going to go.
yeah. I think I'm also quite curious to see like how much are people going to buy Meta branded only stuff. The Meta
Yeah.
Ray Bans display were they didn't really sell amazing, but they're also expensive and they have the display stuff, and that's almost a dev kit really. But yeah, selling a cheaper pair, it'll be interesting. We'll see.
You weren't at AWE, were you?
I did not go. I had a spy that did everything for me, taking 3D video for me. Shout out to them. Thank you. But yeah, I got him to demo some of the stuff I was interested into, and so I can talk about it here. And I trust their opinions quite a lot. So I do want to talk a little bit about Aura, XReal Aura, because it's very it's so interesting because okay, we can't talk about XR Aura without talking about the new Qualcomm chip because that has a lot to do with the next form factors that we're seeing and
I
even
just want to say
VR.
for a second, I actually think I messaged XReal because I started seeing that they're working with VR developers making
Yeah.
augmented like reality games, and I think one of them was Demio. So I
Yeah.
messaged XReal and I was like, "Are you doing any demo for this product?" But I think, like you said, no one's really been hands on with them openly, and I didn't know that by the looks of it. So
Yeah, I do know they had the auras on the show floor, so they're at least way more open, but only if you were at that event. I don't know anyone who's tried it outside of that, except maybe in the past. But just to give a little refresher of XReal Aura, it's a higher FOV version of what the best XReals are right now. So you can get like a 70-degree FOV. I never could find out if that's horizontal or diagonal, which is quite a big difference because diagonal is the largest you can get, but that might make your horizontal and vertical look smaller. But if it's
mm,
70 horizontal, that's still also preloaded VR. But it starts getting close to that range where you can do some AR VR stuff. Like you said, they were I think they were actually demoing Damio in these glasses because the glasses connect to a puck that has the new Qualcomm. They're calling it Snapdragon Reality Elite, but it really is just the XR2 Gen 3. That's what they were
right.
calling it internally and
And
everything. It's
that's
just a
in
marketing
frame, isn't
name.
it? That's the same one that's in frame, isn't it? I believe Gen 3.
It's not. Frame actually doesn't use an XR based chip. They're using a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is a completely non XR chip. They did that for mainly so that they can develop all their Linux stuff for it. There's a bit more openness there, but
Fair enough.
and
Sorry.
it's no worries. So I'm glad you bring that up because people will be comparing the chip and Steam frame to this Snapdragon Reality Elite chip. Now, so some of the improvements over the XR2 Gen 3, they gave 60% greater GPU power, 30% better CPU, which those, if you just saw those specs, you'd be like, oh, that's not a huge jump for 3 years compared to some of the other jumps. But there's some of the things here that is completely different architecturally. They were advertising like, I think it was like a 12 degrees Celsius, like under load less than the previous chip, which the previous chip was a huge problem with thermal throttling. You especially see that in the Samsung Galaxy XR that is running really high 4K per eye displays and not even at 90 hertz most of the time, most of the time at 72 hertz. And that people who bought it and use it for even just PCVR and like would stream super high resolution stuff for it to decode thermal throttling constantly. The new chip is very importantly trying to run cooler at these higher GPU frequencies and stuff. And the main reason for that is I've been told many times that when they were designing this chip, Google had a lot to do with this chip. Previous chip generations, Meta was the one that would like put the most involvement in like saying, "Hey, we want this, we want it to do this." This time it's Google, and one of the big focuses is they wanted to make sure the chip was going to run very well in compute pucks, just like the one that is going to be connected to the XReal Aura. Because if you're running a compute
Mm,
puck, you don't want it to run hot because you're going to be pretty
no.
limited on like how many fans you can put in a thing on your pocket or whatever. So that was a very important thing, and they're putting it in the compute puck for the XReal Aura. People were saying that because the XReal Aura runs 1920 by 1200 resolution per eye displays, that which is slightly similar to actually a Quest 3S in terms of resolution, it just is way more performant than the Quest 3S, and because they can also move that compute off here, and the XReal chip has another compute co-processor that handles a lot of some of the sensors and stuff up here. So you're actually making the chip down here do less. It's running cooler, so the theoretical performance will be way better, I think, than what the actual numbers say because of all these things, because of all the issues with throttling and stuff. And you're going to see way more compute pucks happening because again that's a big focus of this chip which allows the small form factor. XReal's doing it with they're not bird bath optics, but they're kind of similar. They're using what they call prism optics, but that also is different than what Meta seems to be doing, which is their next project, which we talked about many times on the show, the Phoenix. They're going to do the puck down
Yeah,
here, but that's going to be more of a VR type glasses up here. And I think when people see that, it'll make people think about AR differently. That's where I wanted to all go around to, because I truly kind of think that the best AR devices are basically gonna be these VR devices with the cameras and everything still, with the eye tracking built
yeah.
in. They're not gonna be as thin as the waveguides and look as, like, sleek as I guess they say the waveguides look,
They're not trying to
but
be
I just
sunglasses, basically. Yeah.
yeah, and I kinda have this belief that that will take off much faster than any waveguide
Well,
stuff because of
it
just
will
all
do
the
because
limitations.
it'll be lighter. You can wear it like a VR headset, but not feel as intrusive. And I even saw the reactions to the apparently Meta Phoenix Elite, which apparently is just like some. They end up being like AI slops and made up version of what it looks like. But when everyone saw the bigger black glasses style thing, I think everyone went, "Wow, that looks great." And I'm thinking, oh, this is so confusing. You've got you got the specs, which actually look like sunglasses, but are just too big. So they're trying to push all this stuff into these glasses. And then you got Meta coming along going, yeah, we got these things. It's like a hybrid pair of glasses and a VR headset. And everyone's like, that looks brilliant. And I don't know, man. I'm kind of confused. I think it just sounds like specs are trying to be so like too ahead of themselves, you know?
Yes. Yes. I think that's completely what specs is, which I get it. I get it. Like no one wants to admit that. No, okay. It's like Zuck once said, and Zuckerberg once said that he doesn't believe people will want to view the world through cameras all the time. And that's probably true at some point when there is a comparable AR waveguide thing to what is starting to come out with the XReal Aura and like the Phoenix. That's probably true. People will prefer to view the real world. But with the current technology, I think people will be quite happy to see the real world. Um, it's like when people see all the stuff with Vision OS or even some of the spatial computery stuff that Meta's working toward, people are excited about it. Like I never see people think that that's stupid. They only think it's stupid when they see the giant helmet that you have to wear to do that capability. So yeah, it's just too early for, Waveguide.
I mean, look
I
at
could
Vision
literally probably
Pro.
spend
Look at Vision Pro, man. Like
yeah,
that is a big bloody headset. But I never heard
yeah,
anyone say it didn't look good.
yeah,
Everyone said it looked
exactly,
good. It was just
and the funny thing is everything I've heard about the next Vision headset, that is still being worked on, it's going to also be doing the split compute thing like Meta's doing, XReal doing. That's like almost all of them are gonna be doing an aspect of that for the future, and it's because they wanna make the form factor smaller. They think it's going to do better, and I think so too. I wanted to see this compute puck stuff for so long, and I feel so happy that we're finally starting to see it. But, yeah,
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
very
interestingly,
confusing though
I've not
if you've just been living with like the past 10 years of VR because it's a complete departure for how things have been going. Because you know it does technically add the cable, right? And I know a lot of people don't like the cable, but
it does.
people also don't like the huge giant thing on their face. So yeah.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, interestingly, I just saw some glasses advertised here from from Vision Express, and they're for people with bad hearing, you know, hearing impaired. So the cameras basically I think the advertisement was see what you hear. And then they have bone conducting things in the glasses, and then it basically tells you what you're looking at. And I kind of thought that was quite amazing because there was a content creator called Awaken's Host. I say was. He's gone on to do like kids quest games now. But when I first met him, he was walking around in Salt Lake City with a quest on, like in
Oh
pass through. And I was like, why are you doing that? He went, because it's the only time I can see perfectly clear. He was like, his
yeah.
glasses are so bad, or his eyesight's so bad, and his glasses are so big, like he's not allowed to drive legally because his eyesight's so bad. And yet, when he wore a VR headset, he could see perfectly. And I kind of thought that's pretty cool because maybe in the future, I know people are already wearing glasses and stuff for vision, but like there will be that crossover surely one day that it'll be a real pair of glasses that enhance your vision and enhance your sound. And then you got the AI stuff, and then you got the AR stuff. Yeah, I see all that combining
All
eventually.
all of this stuff was inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And that might be a long time. Like I said, I don't see the waveguide stuff really hitting its peak till 20 years from now, but I do think it will hit, and it will hit hard when that technology is there. But until then, I think the mixed reality glasses, the goggles, whatever they decide to call them, I think that will be quite a bit more successful, actually. And I think it will breathe new life in VR. Whenever I talked about, I think I talked about last show how I kind of think this computing, making these things into more like computing platforms like the PC, and then VR. I think VR gaming will rise alongside that, just like how gaming did alongside the PC and Steam being a thing now. I see it the same way for a lot of these devices. So yeah.
Another positive show, apart from
I have one more thing.
one more thing. One more thing.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
the
know we're getting
World
long
Cup
in this
10
show.
minutes. It's the World Cup in 10 minutes, but go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go fast. There was one more thing at AWE that I saw no one talked about, and I'm going to talk about it again, even though I know I'm seen as this crazy person that always brings this up. But Samsung did show off new displays for VR, new Micro-OLED. I remember maybe 2 shows ago I talked about what they had at Display Week. They actually had something newer at AWE than that. And so they showed off 1.3-inch 4K per eye displays at 40,000 nits. Now, just for reference, the displays in Vision Pro can go up to 5,000 nits. So we were talking about a humongous increase, 5,000 to 40,000. That is, and whenever I bring this up, people are like, wait, they must be using up so much power just to get that bright. No, they're actually probably using less power than the display in Vision Pro because they're just a completely different process. And I know I've been talking about this technology for so many times, but the reason I want to bring it up one more time, other than the fact that they've completely hit that target they've been telling me they were going to hit for years now, and they finally hit it. There was some news in the supply chain that not only was they were showing off these displays, but they were talking to the basically providers of equipment that will be able to allow them to install that equipment in a factory and mass produce these displays. And they're talking to them now. They plan to buy equipment next year and install it in a fab, its own dedicated fab, to build these displays by 2028 for mass production. So it's not just like these prototypes anymore. Samsung, and people are always sad, oh, VR dead, whatever, XR dead. Samsung building an entire fab to build the most niche display technology that will go in all of these devices. XReal, Vision Pro 2, MetaPhoenix is using Micro-OLED. Probably a future version of that will use these displays too. And the brightness is so important because it'll either allow us to get more efficient, thinner optics in even the current gen pancake optics, or we'll have a more realistic representation of either mixed reality or virtual reality in the current optics we have now. And it's aimed at a lower power. So it's super important, super valuable, and it's finally coming together. I can't wait. I know it's only people are telling me, Brad, it's coming in 2 years. It's such a long time away, and I'm like, but it's coming, and it's going to be a huge step. It's so important. It's so important. Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Mate, fantastic. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what happens. We're just gonna have to go to bed for 2 years, wake up, and we're going hibernation.
The funny thing is they had these 40K nits on a wall, and the person that I had as a spy for me go there, they originally had them like a little ND filter covering these displays, and whenever you go up to the wall, it already looks super bright. But then the lady at the booth kind of flipped open the ND filter, and it would go from all white to showing a nebula. And when it went all white, the guy was like, it was painful to look at, which is what I want to hear. Because again, it will not be painful. It will not be painful to look at in a headset, but that is beautiful. Oh, amazing. Okay, I'm good for real this time.
And on that bombshell, are you done? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I promise. I'm good. I got it. I got it out.
We're out. Right. Thank you ever so much for joining me again for this emergency discussion about Steam Frame, Steam Machine, AR, XR, Samsung. The future is bright. Fantastic.
It's literally
stuff.
bright. 40,000 nits of brightness.
That's it, man. Yeah. Well, thank you again anyway. And hopefully everyone enjoys this episode, this emergency episode. Let us know in the comments. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.